Professor Kayla here, and welcome back to Honeytelligence. Today we're talking about why your hair texture is like it is. Why is your hair curly? Why is it straight? Today we're here to find out. So to start with, we have the hair follicle. This is the innermost part of your hair. From this follicle, the hair bulb forms. This is where all your living cells are. This is where everything is produced. Everything that you see out here comes from that. And what we identify as hair is the hair shaft. So this is what we're talking about here. So the hair shaft is composed of keratin and melanin, and also some small metallic elements. Now this hair shaft can be divided into three different parts. We have the innermost layer, which is the cuticle, the middle layer, the cortex, the innermost layer, which is the medulla. So the cortex is composed of melanin and ovoid bodies. The follicle is what determines the shape that the cuticle will take. So the follicle is the literal hole that is coming out of your head. A circular cuticle gives rise to straight hair. So just like this piece of yarn is pretty circular, if you look at it, it's completely straight. If we try to curl it with scissors, it's straight. Doesn't work. Slight curl, but doesn't work. Now, if you have a more ovular hair shape, such as this, which this is an extreme case, and you can see it's already curling, you're going to have a curlier texture. And again, we go back with these scissors, and we curl, maybe, curls galore.
Wait, how does the shape determine texture?
So let's talk about how the shape of your hair really determines the texture. Why is it that this flatter shape makes the hair more curly? It all has to do with protein bonding. Every time a chemical reaction happens, the tertiary shape of a molecule changes. This is the same with that. If your hair shaft is curved out of your head, you're going to have a more curly texture because the hair is composed of different cysteines, which is a type of thiol.
English, please?
I know. We're getting to it. Sorry about that. Let me clarify. Cysteine is a type of thiol. A thiol is an R group or a carbon group attached to a sulfur. So these two cysteines, and there's going to be a picture right here. So these cysteines can get rid of their hydrogen on the end and create disulfide bonds. These disulfide bonds work within the hair shaft, and they bond to one another, causing the curl like this.
Okay, I see, but why is curly hair so dry?
The problem is, with the hair shaft coming out of the hair at such an odd angle, it prevents sebum production, which in turn is why curly hair is stereotypically dry.
But why does hair texture change as you get older? My hair was super straight when I was young and now it's kind of wavy.
Great question, and I'm here to answer it. So as I said before, the follicles in your head determine the shape of your hair, and this is based on genetics. But due to puberty, hormones, stress, and other factors that can be from the environment, this could all change. This could change throughout your life, and you can become someone with a more curly-haired texture. This is not uncommon. So if your hair shaft goes from coming straight out of your head and having hair like this, as you get older, go through puberty, your hormones change, your genetics may change, your genome within, and you can end up with hair more curly like this. Probably not to this extreme, but maybe a more of a wave, and that's perfectly fine. With the extra hormones, the sex hormones released as we grow up, it gives our body the ability to change in that way. Think of the other things that happen. We get hair in other places we didn't have before. Hair generally thickens. It gets darker or lighter. It's a time for change, so why not change the texture as well?
Wait, what do you mean the genome's changing? My genes don't spontaneously change.
I was getting there, patience. So, the gene for straight hair is completely recessive. So if your hair is straight, your hair is straight, your hair is straight. End of the road, period. But the gene for curly hair is not completely dominant. So that gene can remain dormant until, like I said, those sex hormones are activated within the body and give the protein structure its reasoning for the follicle to change shape in order for curly hair to happen.
Okay, you think you're so smart with your disulfide bonds, but please tell me why hot tools make my hair curly or straight?
Great question. How does heat make your hair straight and curly? It's all about hydrogen bonds. Hydrogen bonds are common in chemical formulas, especially in things we know every day, such as water. So on the outside of your hair, not the follicle that's affecting it this time, we have keratin molecules. And on these keratin molecules are a bunch of hydrogen bonds, which causes that, curling or straightening. When we add heat, we get rid of those hydrogen bonds and we can reshape the hair the way we want. Now, factors such as the environment, things in our water, may cause those hydrogen bonds to reform, which is why your hair may not last all day. And with that, water works as a reset because it reintroduces the hydrogen molecules into the keratin and therefore resets your hair back to normal after you wash your hair.
Please tell me how perms work then? Or relaxers? Water doesn't reset those.
Now what about perms? It's exactly the same thing we were talking about with the disulfide bonds. So perms don't work on the outside of the hair, but more so on the inside of the hair, where these bonds are occurring at that tertiary structure. So by introducing something like a perm, you can create those disulfide bonds to get more of a curl, which is why it acts permanently. Now, on the other hand, using a relaxer breaks those disulfide bonds and gives you more of a straight texture. This is why it's more of a permanent change to that particular part of your hair, but the things coming out of your root don't change because, again, that is the follicle shape determining how those bonds are formed. Now, there's a reason why we don't use heat when you have a perm or a relaxer within your hair. That's because over time, if you introduce those hydrogen bonds, breaking those bonds again, and then introducing water, and you do that over and over, eventually, by curling it, you're reintroducing those disulfide bonds. Yes, we broke them or we built them, but by straightening or curling your hair respectively, we are again introducing those disulfide bonds back to where they're naturally comfortable. So again, the hair follicle determines the shape of your hair or the texture of your hair because it determines if your hair is ovular or more circular. With that, the hair shaft can be divided into 3 different parts: the cuticle, the cortex, and the medulla. Within the inside of this hair shaft, it determines those disulfide bonds, which gives us our hair's natural texture. But on the cuticle is where we can break or make those hydrogen bonds in order to temporarily have our hair curly or straight until introduced to something in the environment such as water or humidity. If you want to permanently change the texture of the hair that's already come out of your head, you can introduce either relaxers or a perm in order to temporarily break or permanently break those disulfide bonds within the hair shaft. But once more hair comes out of your head and out of the follicle, this no longer is the way it is. Does that answer your question? Awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in to Honeytelligence. Be sure to like and subscribe, and maybe you'll see more of Professor Kayla come back. We'll see. Kayla out.
Hey, it's behind the camera Kayla here in my costume. Thank you guys so much for watching. This was an experiment for some experimental fun. stay tuned for more. Maybe I'll come in with Professor Kayla sometimes and just explain something I think's cool. I think hair texture and all this organic chemistry stuff is really neat. Having a biology background and my major and stuff, I've learned about this stuff, but not specifics like hair texture and such. So, yeah, thanks so much for watching. Bye!